that's great. That's what Sheet Set Manager is for. It's the ability to take those 20 drawings, 20 plus drawings, and organize all those layout sheets in one spot. So what it's going to allow me to do is take, we'll say 20 drawings, and each drawing's got maybe 2 layouts. So I'm going to have 40 sheets, and I'll have a sheet set manager that will combine all 40 into one location, so it makes it easier to find. And that's what I have right here on my first slide. Is it's an organized collection, sheets from several drawing files. There's 5 basic commands to get to the sheet set manager: new sheet set, open sheet set, sheet set hide, and then my favorite, SSM. When in doubt with the new command line at in 14 and 15, if you just start typing in sheet, you're going to get those top 4, and then SSM is the other one. So we got those 5 basic commands. There's a few other ones, but these are the 5 basics. So next is we'll talk about the interface. And if you plot from paper space, majority of what you're going to see is in the sheet list. If you do a lot of plotting from model space, then you're going to want to worry about model views and sheet views. But the interface is the sheet list, displays a list of all the sheets in the set. The sheet views tab will display a list of all the sheet views. Basically, it's viewports created from a model view setting. And then the model view tab is the list of the path and folder names for the drawings containing information. So what I'll be able to do is I'll be able to set up a folder location, so like Project A, and I'll be able to see a list of all the drawings underneath Project A. And then within that, if there's any model views within drawing 1 of Project A, I'll be able to create a viewport out of that and drop it into a new layout sheet, and then use it in the Sheet Set Manager. So using the Sheet Set Manager, there's 2 basics ways of creating a Sheet Set Manager. One is from an existing drawing, so I can open up drawing 1 and have 5, 7 layout pages in there and say, hey, create a Sheet Set Manager from all these layouts. That's the simplest way. And then the other one is actually saying create from a sheet set from a template. And what I'll do is I'll have one already set up with folder structures or subsets, some view frames to help me organize when I start dumping and adding new sheets into a set. So you can see example sheet set. I have begin sheet set example, then sheet set details. But then if I do from an existing drawings, instead of sheet set examples, it's actually sheet set detail, and then choose layouts. So there's slight variations to the 2. And if you do from an existing drawings, you see the sheet set details is the next tab. And here we'll give it a name, and then we'll actually pick where the DST file is being stored. But it's going to use the open drawing, the active drawing when it picks that. And then when you come in, it'll say choose layouts. Right now I actually created these from an empty drawing, so there weren't any layouts in there. And then if you create from an example sheet set, you get browse to another sheet set, so it's going to ask you to browse to another DST file. Or it's going to ask you from a set location. Right now I don't have a DST file in that default location, so it's showing up blank. When we get into the demo, I'll actually show you where that default location is. I'll dump one in there, and then when we build one from an example sheet set, it'll be in there and everything will be good. And then the name of the new sheet set, give it a name. Again, where do you want to store it? Once we've built that, we'll be able to reorder the sheet. So in the top image here, I have 6 sheet sets that are plan and profile sheets from a civil drawing, and they're all listed under the American Eagle sheet set. What I can do is I can create a new subset, and I created a new subset on this bottom one here, and I called it CTC Webinar, missing the N, so it's WebR. But I was able to reorganize my sheets, and I put the final 3 sheets in the CTC Webinar subfolder. Again, I can create a template that will have these subsets already in there. So I could have a subset for architectural, I could have a subset for plumbing, mechanical, electrical, civil, site, any subset I want, and then I'll be able to drop these sheets in the proper location. So, hey, with the sheet set manager, I need to find all the architectural plans. I come into the sheet set manager, I open up the subset architectural, and there's going to be every sheet related to architectural. Hey, now I'm going to plumbing. I changed from architectural to plumbing. I now see all of the sheets related to that project that's related to plumbing. And then under sheet views, I also have the capabilities of creating categories, and that's what this icon is, new view category. And that might be, hey, under architectural, I want to see elevation plans, or I want to see floor plans, or a different type of view. I might want to see civil plans or civil views. I might want to see second plan views, profile views. So I have the capabilities in doing that, and we'll do that in the example walkthrough. I'll create those model views in a drawing, and then I'll create some sheets out of that, which then will allow me to see these sheets in the view category, and I'll move them to those categories. And that's where we're at. Model view. To be able to use the model view tab or the sheet view tab, I need to have model views, and that's just going to the view manager in your AutoCAD software and saying new. I created 2 of them that I deleted out, so we'll recreate, but they're called CT1 and CTC2. And then once they were there, when I reopen up my sheet set manager, I'll open up the drawing topo. You can kind of see topo right up there behind the viewport, or the dialog box, and there's CTC0 and CTC02 under the topo drawing because they're model views. They match here and here. And then what I have the ability to do is actually to place them on a sheet. It's nothing more than creating a viewport in layout space and zooming into the spot you want. Again, this is for people that plot mainly from model space but want to utilize the sheet set manager. So once I've placed it on a sheet at a proper scale, I'll be able to then go into the sheet view, and after the model view has been placed, it'll actually show up CTC02. I'll be able to rearrange it so I can actually move it up to a detailed category, an elevation category, the plan view category. But what I'll also have the ability to do is I'll actually be able to place call-out blocks or place view label blocks in that sheet. The customization, while some of my screen caps, they didn't show any of the default DST files, that's because I did not have any in this location. Users, me, app data, local, Autodesk, C3D 2015, ENU template. I didn't put any of my default sheet set managers in there. They were being stored on my documents. I've gone in and I've put one in there, so now we'll be able to see when I create a new one. And then the other thing is page setup override files. This is for plotting, and what it does is it has a DST file in there, and when I plot, I got those 40 drawings again. 10 of them might be plotting out at D size, 10 might be plotting out at C size, maybe you got 15 at an E size, so you're going really big, and then maybe you got 5 that are 11 or 8.5 by 11, 11 by 17, something like that. So they're all going to print out at different sizes, and that can be a pain in the butt depending on your plotter. Well, the page set override, what it does is you create one layout in that DST file, and it has, hey, this is going to be an 11 by 17. It's going to be scale to fit. And it doesn't matter what my sheets were set up, those 40, if I use the override file, will all be printed out at that 11 by 17 scale to fit. That makes it nice for creating everything on one size. So I had those D size, I had the B, I had the C, and I had the E's, 4 different sizes. This is going to help me generate one organized sheet. Publishing, when I'm done and I'm ready to publish my documents, you basically just click on a sheet and you'll say publish. And right there, we got to a DWF, PDF, to a plotter, so we can actually do hard copies. Right now, this sheet set right here does not have an override in there. That's why it's grayed out. If I had one in there, it wouldn't be grayed, and then I could actually say publish using the overrides. The other nice feature in there is actually the include for publish. I can actually set that to no. So I could have that in there for reference, but when I want to print out my roll plan set, I can actually say no, and then this one sheet wouldn't be included. So let's actually jump into the software. Obviously, PowerPoints are boring. We actually want to get into the software because that's where all the fun is at. So I'm going to jump into, I'm using Civil 3D, but Sheet Set Manager is going to work for any version of AutoCAD you have, just plain AutoCAD. So first thing I want to do is I want to create model views. So I'm just going to come up to my Home tab, Palette, oops, sorry, jumped ahead of myself, View Manager, and I'm going to come in and create a new model view. And I'm going to call this Webinar 1. Say OK. Say OK. Whoops. I'm going to zoom in here and create another one. Call it Webinar 2. Say OK. And say OK. So now I have 2 model views in here. So when I create my Sheet Set Manager, I'll be able to use these model views if I needed to create a layout sheet or a viewport from scratch. So what I want to do now is I actually want to go into my Sheet Set Manager and I want to create one. Home tab, Palettes, Sheet Set Manager. Opens it up. And now what I want to say is I want to say New Sheet Set. I have 2 options, an example sheet set or an existing drawing. The existing drawing would take this topo.dwg drawing that I have, but I don't want that. I want to be able to create one from a template that has a few subsets and a few categories already set in there. So I'm going to actually use an example sheet set. So I'm going to say next. And I actually have a couple in there. There's that American Eagle that I copied over, and I put it in that users app data ENU template location. I also put another one in there called template. That's the one I want to use. I could have also browsed to another location, actually looked in my documents and found a couple more sheet set managers I had. I could have gone to a previous project and looked in, instead of project A, looked in project B. But I'm going to go ahead and say next because I want to use template. So I'm going to say next. And this one is going to be Webinar 0819 for today. I'm not going to put any descriptions in there. It's going to get stored in my documents. So I'm going to get, just for sake, I'm going to actually move it to my desktops just so I don't have to fight that far to find it. I'm going to say next. And here's what it's going to do. I created subsets: architectural, civil, electrical, mechanical, plumbing, and structural. So now I'm going to have subsets automatically built. And it gives me a list of all the subsets. And there, so I'll say finish. So I now have a webinar 0819, and I have all these subsets in here. Well, now what I need to do is I want to add this topo sheet in. So I go to my layout drawing, my layout page, ANSI B 11 by 17, and I got right click and say import layout to sheet or as sheet. Now I'm just going to bring in the ANSI B 11 by 17. I won't worry about bringing in the 11 by the other layout 1. So the only one that's checked is the top one. I'm going to say import check. And what it did was it dropped that sheet in. And I'll go ahead and I'll drag it up into my civil. So now my civil's in there. Yes, creating one from a template, you're now going to have to manually enter some of the sheets. It's going to take a little more time to build than if you were to create one from an overall folder. Next, I want to look at my model view. Well, it's saying add new location. So I'm going to go ahead and add a new location, and I'm going to jump to my folder location of Bloomington. So I'll say open, and it gives me a list of all my drawings in that subfolder. And if I expand topo, I don't see anything. So let me actually now save my drawing. It's silly. I'm going to close out of SSM. I'm going to close my drawing. Going to reopen my drawing. SSM. Open. Desktop. Open. There we go. AutoCAD. Doesn't always refresh when you want. Sometimes you got to do that regen all. Sometimes you got to just close it out, shrink it. Sometimes you got to click on something else, and that's what I had to do there. Was I just had to click on another one of the drawings, and then the plus sign opened up, and now I see those two views that I already had that I just created for you: Webinar 1, Webinar 2. Now what I want to do is I want to add one of them in, because if I look at my sheet set view, I don't have anything in here. So I'll jump back into model view, and I'll come in and I'm going to say place on sheet. And it's quite large, but if I right click, I can go to a scale, and I can go to 100 scale because this drawing is at 100 scale. And I'll just drop it in there. And now I have a model view that we created, and it shows up. If I look at the properties on here, it is nothing more than a viewport. Again, this is for people that plot in model space. If you already print in paper space like this one here, going to the model views and the sheet views tab doesn't really help much. But now if I go to the sheet view, I see a new category called none. And if I open it up, I now see the sheet view, Webinar 2. Well, this is a civil drawing, and it's in plan view. So I can now go ahead and drag it up and drop it in plan. And then I can actually remove the category none. Well, that's all great. But so far, I haven't done anything different than I could have done in just plain layout space. I'm going to jump back to the sheet list. And now I'm going to actually jump to another drawing, and it's my alignment and profiles. Well, if I look at layout 1, there's layout 1. It actually has some roads in there. It has an alignment in here. I can add this as a sheet. And I'm going to add, in this case, I'll actually add both of them. Say import check. Now I have all these in at once. So to show you the power of a sheet set manager, I'm going to close down both my drawings. So I have nothing open. I can come in and open layout 1. And there is layout 1 from that drawing. I can now jump to model space if I had to make modifications. The whole point of Sheet Set Manager is to actually jump to the sheet, so now I could actually just open up and say plot. Close that down. Yes. Open up sheet 2, which in this case is the profile view of it. And so I had those 20 drawings. I have 20 drawings, 40 sheets. This will allow me to put all 40 sheets in one spot, and I can open them up whenever I need to. Instead of having to go, where's that profile drawing? All right, got to go File, Open. I got to look. All right, is it in the corridor drawing? Is it in the through a street drawing, topo drawing? What drawing is it in? I got to go through and I got to cycle through 20 different drawings. Well, maybe we're a little more organized, so maybe I got to remember, is it within 5 of the 20? But I still got to remember which one it is. And then I have to remember, once I get in there, I have to cycle through all the tab sheets. Well, here I can actually open this up, go to the properties, and instead of having it called layout 1, I can call it plan view. Say okay. And then this one, go into profile view. Say okay. That quickly, I can switch back and forth between drawings. I want to come in. Let's take a quick peek at the properties here. And this one is actually using the architectural imperial template as its default. Well, I'm a civil guy, so I don't want to use architectural. Sorry for all the architects. I want to use my civil imperial. So now it's going to use the civil imperial, and if I actually open up my civil imperial, whoops, switch to templates, sheet sets, civil imperial, it has one layout page in there. And if I look at the setup manager, I see that it's going to do a DWF plot. It's going to do an ArcD, so it's going to print out D size, layout, and it's going to be 1-to-1. So when I go to plot or publish, I can say publish to plotter. And what it's going to do is, if I say publish to plotter, it's going to take these 3 sheets and publish them out at whatever page setup that were assigned to them in their individual layouts. But if I said publish using page setup override, I can then pick the sizes that were in there. And there's the D size full scale, because that's page setup manager. Here's all the setups here. D, A, B, D, D. So I can say B size, modify, and there's 11 by 17, and it says fit to paper. Great way to shrink things down. The last thing I have for you is just where these are all stored. I mentioned it. We'll just take a quick peek. go to the options folder, files, template settings, sheet set template, and it's being stored at the enu.template folder. I could change these around, put it where I want, and then it'll look somewhere else. And just to show you, when I created my original sheet set, I had two in there. I had the template, and then I had the VFG template. So if I look in that location, C drive, me, app data, local, Autodesk, ENU, template. Here are the two that it found. It found the template DST, and then it found the VFG American Eagle DST. I could add my webinar one in, and I could drop that in here, and then that one would be available. And one thing I missed that I want to bring up is, let's say I need to add another subgroup in here. So I have architectural, civil, electrical, mechanical, plumbing. I forgot about those landscape people. So all those people outside. What I can do is I can come in and say new subset. And now my new subset is landscape. They're special. We'll spell out their whole name instead of abbreviating. So now I say okay, and I'm in landscape. What I could do is I could actually go and open up my template DST and say new subset and put landscape in here. Say okay. And now, because I like things alphabetically, I'm going to move landscape up. That's how to create subsets, sheet views, new view category, extras. And there's extras. Sheet set manager, it's not that hard, but it's really nice being able to have all your drawings, or I should say all your sheets, all your layouts in one place. I'm gonna open it up for questions right now. Turn it back to Scott, see if we have any questions that we want to talk about. There was one question we had was about never shrink your layout page. Yes, you should never shrink that, but if you're taking a D size and you need to print by 11 by 17, you do need to say fit to paper. Yes, your scale will be off. That's just one of the downsides to printing at a smaller size. Scott, do we have any questions that you want to talk about?
All right, Scott, we have a question. They're wondering, does the sheet set manager create the title blocks for the sheets?
No, it's basically taking your layout page, and so you'll have that, and then it's just going to basically keep a link, almost like an X reference, from where it's at to the drawing, and then linking it so it finds it back. Yes, when in the D-size drawing in here, there is a title block in here, but when I say use it as an override, it's not taking any of the title block. The only thing it's taking is the modifications in here. So it's only taking this stuff right here. So title block, no. But can I come in and say close? Can I create a new layout from template and then pick we'll go metric on this one and say okay. And now have an ISO one in there. And now I have ISO A1. Yes. And then there's what they had in for their title block for the metric version. Any other questions?
Okay, Scott, we have another one that came in. They're wondering, is there a way to automatically number sheets from the manager?
To renumber, Yes, let me actually jump back into my webinar one. Civil, when I get in there, I actually have the ability to rename, renumber. So I can come in and name it 1, name it 2, and now I have the sheets in there. So automatically, I guess technically no, but there is a way to rename, renumber. And then sheet title, rename drawing file to match. So I could click on there. So is it completely automatic? No, but there are ways to put things in there.
And then someone was wondering, is there, or scale is important on their project, so they're wondering how can you print 11 by 17 to scale?
It's going to be extremely difficult because all your view frames, all those viewports from the other layout sheets, they're going to be inconsistent in size. So if you're on the civil side, if everything's at 50 scale, you could come in and if you're on D size 50 scale, you could create up a page setup that isn't fit to paper, but it's not 1-to-1, it's 1-to-2. So it prints out at half size. So now your 50 scale would actually become out 100 scale. Is there a way to take a D size 50 scale and make it a B size 50 scale? No, because yes, but you're not going to get the full size. You're not going to be able to zoom into the specific area. So if you're architectural and you're talking quarter scale, half-inch scale, yeah, if you got a D size drawing that's quarter scale, you'd create a page setup that is half scale. So it's going to be half the size, and it'll print out. So you'll have an 11 by 17, but if you have a scale on your drawing, it's going to say quarter, but it would then measure half scale.
All right, thanks, Scott. We've got Midwest University coming up next March, and we're looking for abstracts. So if you know an AutoCAD tips or tricks, you could submit that for a class and teach in front of your peers. We had it last year and had a great turnout from people all over the Midwest area as well as across the nation. And if you go on the website, Midwest-U, you can see right there, there's the call for abstracts and there's the proposal template and all the information that you need. Feel free to reach out to us by email if you need to uh, ask any questions about the event, and we'd be happy to help you.